Honourable members, we have quorum. The Honourable Member for Nawai will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we gather here as servants of the people, entrusted with the responsibility to lead with justice. Remind us always that our position are not always for personal use, but to serve the greater good of the community and nation. May our decisions reflect fairness, compassion, and the true needs of those who we represent. Watch over us, O Lord, and inspire us to work together in unity with the shared purpose of creating a better future for all. May your divine guidance lead us in every decision we make. In the name of the Holy God, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For Christ is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Honourable members, I have to inform the Parliament of the death on 28 November 2024 of Mr. Michael Malabak, a former member of the Mosby Northwest Open Electorate in the 9th National Parliament from 2012 to 2017. During that term, he served as a Minister for Health and HIV/AIDS in the O'Neill Dion Cabinet, following the formation of the government in August 2012. As mark of respect to the memory of the late honourable gentleman, I invite all honourable members to rise in their places. I thank the Parliament. Any petitions? Notices? Honourable members, question time. The Honourable Governor for Enga.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My questions, without notice, are directed to the Minister for Education. Before I ask a series of questions to the Minister, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Enga to thank the Prime Minister, the Honourable James Marape, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Police, for finally making a decision to send 5 Commonwealth officers to Enga Province. Thank you very much. It's been outstanding. Thank you very much, Prime Minister and our government. My questions to the Minister for Education is this. We've had some quality issues in terms of standards of education in this country. I would have thought that we would be doing everything possible to improve quality and standard in this country. Last week, I was in Enga, but I heard on the radio the series of answers the Minister gave in relation to doing away with grade 8 and grade 10 exams. Who's advising us to get rid of exams? We had issues with elementary education where people imposed that system on us and affected quality of education in our country. So I'm just asking the minister to seriously revisit this decision. It is not in the interest of this country. What we have to do is, you can allow for the kids to continue, but it doesn't add to have exams. How are you going to assess the performance of teachers? What kind of incentive is there going to be for the students? If there's no exam, everybody's going to just, play around and not concentrate on getting quality education or doing their best in school. So it's a serious thing. So I want the minister to seriously look at this policy, allow exams to take place. If you want the students to continue, they can continue. But why should we not have exams in grade 8 and 10? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Education.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I wish to thank the and Governor for the Enga Province for his very important question on quality and standards. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're looking at early childhood education and introducing ACE curriculum into the grade 1 states to ensure that we produce some quality young kids before they go into the higher grades. We're also improving on teacher inspections to ensure that we have some quality. Now, quality and monitoring and quality. Now, for the exams, it's, we will continue to have exams, but exams would not be the basis for dropping out or failing our students at grade 8 and grade 10. Exams can continue to monitor the performance of students, but they would not be used as a means to drop to select to leave some of our students out and some of our students to go through. Like I said last week, some students are slow learners, some students are fast learners. So they should all be given equal opportunities so that no child is left behind. While I have this opportunity, I wish to thank the Honourable Governor for his huge investments in education in this province. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Governor for Jiwaka.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you, you recognize him, all people of Jiwaka. Deputy Speaker, my question, without notice, will be directed to the Right Honourable Prime Minister and maybe the Minister for Admin Services take note. Deputy Speaker, my question relates to the general election that the Minister holds him every 5 years. Deputy Speaker, as of today, we've got about a little bit over 2 years now. 2027 by Parliament, but we have next election. Now, rights long or man-long vote during this time. We got plenty issue, Deputy Speaker. You mean our opinions? Along general election after general election, voting, distribution of ballot papers, of counting, all this administrative problem is that come up. Now, may I say, Deputy Speaker, that long 2022, that's the recent election in Miabim, out of the 118 seats that is available on this floor, 102 of them were petitioned. So plenty of money win law and legal court. Now I'm for one of them that's standing here, Deputy Speaker. We got two petition now. I'm still going through that process as I speak. So Deputy Speaker, yimi olgada yisawe election-related issues affecting planning or family, costs involved long, legal fees, health issues, all these things, and time-consuming too. All these things are caused, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because of the way the DME administrated general election of Papua New Guinea, and that's the main cause of it. Also now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, question blew me by Golong. Prime Minister, I'm long. Whether by me, goal is electronic voting, long 2027 or not? That'll be my question. So, Deputy Speaker, first question blew me, Prime Minister, can the Right Honourable Prime Minister inform this House and the people of PNG if the electronic voting is going to be administered in 2027? Number two question below me, if we are going electronic, are we preparing and ready as we now have 2 years to set up before 2027? Question number three below me, Deputy Speaker, if PNG is not ready or is not going into electronic, then will we have an accurate and latest up-to-date voter common roll for use in 2027? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Pass them through me like to thank you, long Governor Blong Jiwaka, for asking this important question. Triple question that goes to the heart of our democracy, the need to secure democracy that is truly representative of our people. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our government is committed to electoral reform. That is a commitment we made to our people in as we went to the 2022 general elections. Time you may come back along government, we established a bipartisan committee to have a review of the entire electoral election that was completed, as well as the previous elections that we had in our country. I think, if I'm not wrong, the chairmanship was chaired by the governor of East Sepik, and it was a bipartisan committee that looked into the conduct of elections and did offer some constructive suggestions to the parliament and to the executive government as to how we must pursue. The electronic voting is one aspect that was suggested, all in the interest for us to achieve a one person, one vote, and for the electoral process to be tidied much better than the 2022, 2017, 2012, and the early elections. I remember I was part of my first contest in 2002. Due to ballot box arriving later, due to the logistics of transporting ballot boxes and papers for the administration of the election to remotest parts of our country, including my own electorate, the 2002 elections did fail in 5 electorates in Southern Highlands, and so then combined Southern Highlands. So we've had history of elections failing, elections not being delivered on time, and many issues that we still carry up till today. I want to ask you all through this question, a very good question, that this government is 100% committed to tidying the weakness we carry in our system. It is no joy sitting here being accused that you're not elected through the proper process. When people actually want to vote for you, are voting for you, and so it is this generation's moment to gift to our citizens who are coming after us post-2027 an election that is better. So in this context, your first question on if it's going to be electoral voting in 2027, I want to advise, and the Minister assisting me on constitutional offices, Minister for Administrative Services, has been working very hard. I want to commend him for his great work in that space. The short time he assumed office, he hasn't been resting. He's been moving at fast pace. We've studied the way India, the biggest democracy on earth, is able to deliver over 800 million people participating in a one-day vote. How did they get that system right? How is it that 800 million people are casting vote and results are known within 24 hours? So that study is going on as we speak. The electronic voting is a platform we'd like to arrive on at the earliest. If not by 27, then certainly by 2032. But the work for next election is starting as we speak. It overlays with the current census that is being run. We want to have one population database that is embraced by all users of population database, including the Electoral Commission. At the moment, Electoral Commission seems to have their own population data. Our national statistics have their own population data, and many population data that feed to users of population data. So I want to give assurance to the House through this question that electronic voting is an option that is being seriously looked at. But if we don't arrive at electoral voting in 2027, then certainly national ID, whether it's biometric ID or a manual ID, would be required for us to participate in vote in 2027. This House will be informed as we resume Parliament next year as our 50th anniversary conversations on the electoral reform that will take place. That must give a better voting platform as well as administration of the count of votes so that our people's wishes are translated into the result of the ballots. So electronic voting, if it takes place, better for us. If it doesn't take place, then 2032 elections is the one that we're looking at. But certainly better form of ID than just the use of common roll as an ID would be introduced in 2027. That is something we are serious about, and we're not just talking. If we look into our budget allocation that is proposed for next year, the Treasurer handed down last Friday, there's a 60 million kina, if I'm not wrong. 60 million kina, I stand to be corrected, 60 million kina, I think it is, put in budget for next year. The Minister for Administrative Services and Constitutional Offices will assist in shepherding through reform work that includes electoral updates that is linked to the census that is taking place and an ID-based voting at the earliest that is proposed for 2027. That should alleviate some of the problems we face in respect to short time to vote, congestion at voting place, and people scrambling for vote in some areas. So, to conclude, Mr. Deputy Speaker, tidying, clearing, and a better electoral platform in 2027 is our number one interest. This government view it as a fundamental gift to our nation post-2025 50th anniversary. To complement this, 60 million kina is put in budget for next year. It will require more funding, but this is a start, and we'll look into this program next year and 2026, too critical year as we face 2027 elections. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kairuku.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My question is directed to the good Minister for Agriculture and Livestock. I would also like the Minister's Police, Defence, as he said, and also the good Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Lands to take note. My question relates to all DAL properties in Berena town, which is the seat of government for Kairuku Electorate. In late 1970s, prior to early 80s, Berena town was a thriving rice town before the farmers packed up to move to Millen Bay and become politicians. There's a lot of properties there, including the old rice mill shed and a lot of high covenant houses, H65, H90s. The previous Sunday, on the 24th of November, at 2 a.m., right next to the police station commander's house, one of the DAL properties again went up in flames. The question I wish to ask the minister is, what is his department's position now with regard to all these properties? Does he want to keep them and for the department's use going forward, or does he have plans to offload all the assets and properties to the District Development Authority for us to use in our endeavor to reviving the district rice project and program again? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Minister for Agriculture.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Sorry, Deputy Speaker. Firstly, let me thank the Honourable Member for Kairuku for his important question. Mr. Deputy Speaker, before I answer the questions to the member, let me take this time to say thank you to the Prime Minister, who has appointed me as a Minister for Agriculture. And I thank the member. This is the first question for me to answer on this floor. The Berena station is not only the station in the country that is facing the problem. We have all the DAL, DPI stations established throughout the country. And most of these stations are taken over by landowners, and the vendors took over the land. So what we are doing now under Maraperoso government, who has funded agriculture, so I have instructed agriculture department, so I have instructed my department to do visits to all the provinces and districts and see the stations and sign MOUs with each district, so that we give the land and the offices there to the district, so we can work in partnership to look at our agriculture crops and how to train our farmers. So at Berena, I have instructed my officers to go there and do an inspection and then give us a report. We have plans to start with Berena as a model district to start a farmer training resource center with your district development authority. Thank you, Mr.
The Honourable Member for Kainantu.
Mr. Speaker, my question without notice is directed to the Minister for State-owned Enterprise, and if the Prime Minister could take note of the questions, the series of questions relate to Ramu Hydro Power Project. Firstly, there is a power pilot project running down from the highlands down to Yonki, and there's a lot of issue and concerns expressed along the way as to who is their owner or what these power pilots are intended to do. Can the Minister clarify to the South and to the people of Arona Valley, both in Obura, Worinara and Kanadu districts, and the Eastern Highlands province as to who owns this power pile, what it is intended to do. That's our first question, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The next question is in regards to the benefits due to the landowners of the Ramu hydropower project. The project is almost 50 years old now, and there has been concerns that has been ongoing even to now. There is a lot of concerns expressed as to the benefits that have been derived to the landowners from the project itself. We understand there is the only benefit that has been accorded to the landowners is under the Arona Valley Development Authority, which is almost a special purpose authority. Now, there has been a lot of concerns. So my question is, after all this time, whether there is any intention, in the light of the growing concerns, whether there is any intention by the government to review the benefits and to consider and give benefits to the landowners of the entire hydro project, considering the fact that the dam itself covers a huge area of agricultural land, arable land, pastoral land, which the people have been deprived. Most of the landowners have been forced to move up to the mountains and hills, and to this day are facing serious difficulties. They are unable to do gardening, to farming, and so whether the agreement has taken into account the difficulties that the people would face in future. If not, can the government look into this and treat the people appropriately, at least have some benefit package for them that will address their concerns. Now, third question relates to Ramu 2 hydropower project. That project has been talked about for a long time, and I've asked 2 questions. I was advised that in this house that it is pending state guarantee and such other arrangements. Now, it's taken quite a while now, and the people, the landowners, both in Makam, in the Obura Wunera and Kainantu districts, have been asking questions, what is happening to this project? In the light of the fact that we are seeing an increase in private power producers who are now producing power and supplying to PNG Power and earning money, and the landowners themselves who've been supplying or who provided land for the project that's been generating income to the state, been missing out. If the state is not in a position to do anything, can the state be able to allow the responsible provincial governments and the landowners, including Eastern Highlands and Morobe provincial governments, and the Kainantu and Obura districts with the landowners, to also consider going into joint venture partnership arrangement to also develop the hydropower project, look for joint venture partners to develop hydropower project with a view to also supplying power, generating income for themselves, like what other private power producers are doing.
Honourable Member, you will need enough time for the Minister to answer your question, so you make your question.
Yes, those are the 3 questions. Can the government, if it is unable to commence this project, if it has no intention of continuing with the project, can the government give this project back to the provincial governments and the districts and the landowners to consider ways to enter into joint venture partner with interested developers to go into private power production, much like other private power producers are doing? Thank you, Mr. Minister. Sorry, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for State Enterprise.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to thank the member for Kainantu for asking these very important 3 questions relating to the supply of power across the Highlands region. In relation to the first question, I want to to inform our people, especially from Eastern Islands, and of course the rest of the region, the island region, that at this stage no power has been sourced from our gas in the Hela province. For gas to be sourced, there has to be a power purchase agreement between PNG Power and either the owners of the gas or a third party. I can inform our country that PNG Power has not entered into any power purchase agreement with the supply of gas to be able to use that gas to supply power. So there is no power that is sourced from the Hela province. No gas has been used and will be used in the medium term and into the near future to source energy for the requirements of our people. At this stage, what is happening is that under a loan agreement that our country entered into the Exim Bank of China, PNG Power has engaged a contractor called TBA to build high voltage, very big and better transmission lines and transmission towers starting from our Hela province past all our other provinces, Western Islands, Jiwaka, Chimbu, and on to Eastern Islands. Those transmission lines and the transmission towers are intended to replace the very old towers and lines which were built by the colonial administration in the early 1960s. And they are very old and they can fall down on anyone, anytime. And it is very important that we as a country build new infrastructure to replace the aging ones. And that is what is happening. And also those new transmission lines will be able to accommodate and transmit more energy. The main source of the energy at this stage is the Yonki hydro scheme. There is no other source. There's a smaller one at Paunda which supplies about 20 megawatts, but that is the operational efficiency is not the one that we like. So we're relying very heavily on the Yonki hydro system. So what will happen is that when the system is fully rehabilitated, then power will be transmitted down to Leh and up the islands, up islands. So the main source of power will be from Yonki. Yonki will never be replaced in the meantime, in the medium and long term as well. So Yonki will continue to remain as the single largest source of power for the entire islands region. So for those who are spreading rumors that these transmission lines are going to be used to transfer or energy from heights, I can assure my good member as well as our people that that is not the case. There are lies being spread around by political opponents and people who have ulterior motives. So there is, and the transmission lines and the towers are owned by PNG Power. They are not owned by any other company or by any individual. They are owned by PNG Power, and through the Exim Bank loan arrangements, TBA, a company from China, has been contracted to build those lines. So we all have to work together and cooperate and make sure that we allow this contractor to complete its work unhindered. There are many instances where some of our people who have been ill-advised and misinformed have taken it upon themselves to cause disruption to the activities. So I want to also, at the same time, ask our people to cooperate and allow this company to complete the work. In relation to the other important issue of benefits and postal benefits for our people who used to be the owners of the site where the Yonki hydro scheme is located, unfortunately, this was an arrangement that was made by the colonial administration before we became independent. And over the years, many governments have not actually sat down and dealt with these issues, and they have actually hoped and allowed for our people's views to be represented through the Arona Valley Development Authority concept. I can say that there have been some small payments made by PNG Power to the landowners. It is not true for anyone to say that nothing has been paid to our landowners. There have been instances where money that has been allocated for our people through that authority have been squandered, and there have been instances where there have been disputes among our landowners. So, but that is not to say that this government is deaf and cannot review these sort of arrangements. These arrangements that were reached about 50 years ago and that can be reviewed in the light of the fact that we're now talking about Ramu 3. The obvious question is, what have you done to the first one? But this government is a responsible government. I'll come to that later, but I can also take this opportunity to acknowledge the fact that our governor of Eastern Islands Province wrote a very detailed petition, and we have received it, and we are working on it. We are not a government that will ignore the wishes of our people through the elected representatives. So I want to acknowledge the governor of Eastern Islands' concerns and the way he's approached us in a civilized way and as a leader, conduct that is fitting of a leader. So I want to acknowledge his conduct and his assistant. And also in relation to the situation involving our landowners, for public policy reasons, it would be incumbent upon any government of the day not to rip apart arrangements that have been entered into many years ago. All we have to do as responsible leaders is to work around those existing arrangements and see what benefits we can then derive from those and help our people. It would be against public policy for any government to rip apart an agreement and then set about redoing everything. But we can only see what we can do based on the existing arrangements. And if there is a need for our people to be accommodated under the existing arrangement, then we will work on it. If it is not possible, then we will see if we can accommodate them in the new Ramu 3 project. In relation to the Ramu 2 project, in relation to the Ramu 2 project, this government supports it. Now, and this government has decided to come out with a policy that is different from the one that existed when the first Ramu project was entered into. And that is that under this arrangement, which will actually be a build, own, operate, and transfer arrangement, we have provided for our landowners from the Morobe province and from Eastern Islands to become equity partners. We're together with their provincial governments. So the arrangement, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that of the 100% shareholding arrangement, PNG Power will retain 60% on behalf of the people of this country, and 40% will then be transferred to the landowners and the provincial government of Eastern Islands Province, the affected landowners, that is, of Eastern Islands Province, and the affected landowners of Morobe Province and their provincial government. So we will be allocating 20% each to our people of Eastern Islands and Morobe Provinces. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is the first one of its kind in this country. Never been done before. It is being done by this government, the Morobe government. As soon as the Treasury Department are able to finalize the terms of the guarantee, then we anticipate that the construction or even the early works work can start in the middle of next year. So finally, we should see some movement in this much talked about project. But I can say that for the first time since independence, we have decided to change the way in which benefits have trickled down to our people. And this one can be used as a model for other projects going into the future if it works out. But I must say that we cannot undo things that were entered into by the early colonial administration with our people. And if we did, we would be looking at unwinding everything that has happened in this country. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mandi.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My questions without notice is directed to the Minister for Education. You'll have another one now. The Ministry of Education is made out of the Department of Education itself, libraries and archives, and the Teaching Service Commission. In 2014, Parliament commissioned an inquiry into the plight of teachers. Very important issues affecting teachers in this country. The inquiry was done through a nationwide consultation led by the then member for Wabek, Honorable Robert Ganim. The Ganim report was tabled at the National Executive Council, and 13 recommendations were made and endorsed and approved. Amongst those recommendations, I wish to just pull out two of them, which I will base my questions on. Recommendation number 9 calls for Teaching Service Commission for its financial autonomy for budget approval from the government. Recommendations number 12 calls for Teaching Service Commission to increase manpower capacity in view to run the teachers' payroll system independently by Teaching Service Commission in 2016 and 17. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Teaching Service Commission has carried out some of these recommendations, and now we are seeing that Teaching Service Commission staff are stationed in its provinces throughout the country. And also in Southern Islands, we also have officer working in there as an advisor for Teaching Service Commission. My question, therefore, to the minister is, 1, has the Teaching Service Commission become independent, financially independent or autonomy, or given the financial autonomy to better service the welfare of the 70,000 plus teachers? And this number may increase when we are going into the reform. And they look after a big number of teachers. So do we have enough money given to the Teaching Service Commission? Question number 2. The payroll system seems to be looked after by the Education Department, while teachers are looked after by Teaching Service Commission. The recommendation here asks for the payroll to be transferred to Teaching Service Commission by 2016-2017. And I've learned that has not happened. When will that happen? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Minister for Education.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I wish to thank the member for Mende for his a very important series of questions. He's laid out a background for a series of questions. And I'll go straight to answering those questions. The three entities in the Education Department, which is the Ministry of Department of Education and the Teaching Service Commission and Library and Archives, all have their own acts of Parliament with defined functions. Having said that, the two agencies, the Department of Education and the Teaching Service Commission, TSC, have formed an implementation committee chaired by Chairman of TSC and Deputy Chairman from the Department of Education. They have started implementing a lot of the recommendations from that particular report. As per the Ghanem report, I wish to advise Parliament that the Department of TSC and the Department of Education has implemented most of the recommendations, while they are also in the process of reviewing some of the issues that they face as they are implementing those recommendations. They are reviewing the acts to establish a clear line of demarcations in their roles and responsibilities. TSC has had discussions with the Department of Education and the Department of Treasury on TSC becoming financially autonomous. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Treasury has given the go-ahead for TSC to have its own single-line budget. However, for this to happen, in 2025, TSC has submitted a budgetary activity for Treasury to include in the 2025 budget. That's in answer to question number 1. And answer to question number 2. The entire teachers and public servants of the Department of Education salaries is managed by the Department of Education payroll system. The recommendation that was endorsed by NEC and approved by Parliament are being implemented as stated in answer to question number 1. The issue with capacity in TSC, our Teaching Service Commission, on taking on the payroll responsibilities can be resolved by collaboration between Department of Education, Department of Personnel Management, and TSC. Where there would be a requirement to transfer payroll functions with personnel, DPM would be required to approve the new structure in the TSC. Department of Education, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Department of Education currently decentralized all salary functions to the provinces except for Southern Islands Province and Gulf. The respective provinces must take charge of teachers and there's oversight on quality and efficiency of the services. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Governor for Madang. Sorry, Honourable Minister, are you still answering the question?
Okay, I think the Honourable Member gave me notice that he will ask 3 questions, so probably I missed out on the third one. The elementary teachers are still part of the teaching force. They will not leave education, the education system. These teachers will be teaching prep, grades 1 and grades 2. Under the
Honourable Minister, we have a point of order.
Oh.
The Honourable Member for North Fly.
Assistant Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker. Sorry, Deputy Speaker. My point of order is that every time I sit here and I observe members on that side, they prepare a statement, they say among themselves, they come and ask us stupid questions among themselves. And the minister is reading.
Honourable Member, I would ask you to withdraw. Honourable Member, you have a good point of order. Very good point of order, but you will withdraw that word stupid in your point of order.
Sorry, I withdraw the word stupid. But can you inform the House, Mr. Speaker, that they must be present. They have the government caucus to discuss about this. Why coming here and wasting time?
Reading the statement.
Honourable Member, your point of order is in order. Honourable Members, if you are circulating a question with the Minister and the Minister in response, please don't prepare a statement that you can read and take the whole session of answering the question. So, Honourable Minister, you can sum up your reply to the questions.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I take note of the point of order. The TSC, the elementary teachers, basically what I'm trying to say is will still be part of the teaching force. They will be redeployed to teach prep, grade 1 and grade 2 under the 166 structure. the 17,000 elementary teachers will become primary school teachers after upgrading the qualification through further training to gain diploma in primary teaching. This training program will be conducted over several years. Salaries for current elementary teachers are being addressed by TAC, and it is now being it's now manageable. Outstanding salaries for elementary teachers are liabilities to the state. TAC, in collaboration with Treasury, are working to offset these liabilities along with our outstanding entitlements for teachers. Early childhood education teachers pay.
Honorable Minister, we have a point of order.
Deputy Speaker, is reading a minister's statement. Can you sort it? And, it's a question tag. Can you shorten his?
All member, I think I have already responded to that point of order. You are still raising the same point of order. I'll just inform you that our question time have already been lapsed. I will ask him to sum up the reply and we'll move on the papers.
Yeah. Make this a little statement. How we go around addressing the issues that are raised by the honourable member for Mali. But yes, I'll make a statement later on the issues that are being raised by the honourable member for Mali. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, our question time have lapsed. My apology to member for the governor for Mede. Our question time have lapsed. I'll give you first choice of question tomorrow. Our question time has lapsed. Honourable member, Honourable Minister, in reply to any question that you want to respond to, give notice to the office or to the clerk. Yeah, you can seek leave to ask. In that, I'll ask for you. If you'd like to reply, then you can seek leave to the chair. Is the leave granted? Honourable Minister.
All right, thank you. Series of questions been raised by 3 leaders in our last week session, and I said I will reply this time, so just would like to make brief reply and we can move on. First of all, to our governor in Western Province, I think all the villages along the river, the upstream and downstream, all been included in the IDG grant sharing, and they are all included in the beneficiaries, so there's no point arguing. When the time comes for IDG sharing, I think all of them will be paid out. And that's about Western Province. And my second reply to the member, honourable member of the regarding the CDA, I think I have mentioned it's an ongoing, just because of the landowners and the Enga provincial government had raised some issues, so it has slowed down, but otherwise it's ongoing. We never experienced any fail in this CDA ceremony or arrangement, so just to inform you that the resettlement was, as we said, the government and through MRA and the Lands Department and maybe Enga provincial government are working on to find the best place for a relocation. Once the law and order and some other issues are settled, they will start relocating or start developing the area. That's about the second question raised by our honorable member. And for the governor of Pacific, actually, I don't really locate the actual amount, but through the CDA process, some of these funds that will be provided through the IDGs, we will look into CDA after the process is completed. So then I'll give you the fixed amount. Thank you.
Honorable Minister for Communication.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I also seek leave of Parliament to make a statement.
Is leave granted? Honorable Minister, for my clarification, is it a statement or is it a response to a question?
It's a response to a question.
Yeah, if it is a response to the question, then I grant that you leave to us. If it is a statement, I would not allow for you to make a statement. You have already asked. Leave has already been granted. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This is in relation to a question asked last Thursday during the Parliament session by the Honourable Member for North Bougainville on the situation with NBC in Bougainville. In my haste to answer a lot of her questions, I overlooked some of the things that I wanted to mention, but having said that this is in relation to the National Broadcasting Corporation of Papua New Guinea, one of the three agencies under my purview as the Minister for ICT. And of course, in my haste to answer the questions, I said some things that like the NBC was not getting any money. That was not true. NBC has actually been receiving money, and I reconfirm this with the NBC management that the national broadcaster has indeed been receiving annual budgetary support from its recurrent and public investment program. I mentioned that we are receiving funding, but it is not the full funding that we are receiving. And so what I intended to highlight was the fact that this iconic institution had indeed been neglected by successive governments and successive NBC managements over many years. When our good Prime Minister, the Honorable James Marape, appointed me as Minister, also responsible for NBC, in November of 2019, I found this institution on life support, with many of the provincial radio stations condemned by their respective provincial health authorities. Many broadcast and transmission facilities and equipments were either obsolete or in dire need of repair, upgrade, or outright replacement. So that was the context in which I intended for the comments. But as correctly reaffirmed by the NBC management, credit must be given to the Marape Rosso government for getting the NBC out of the intensive care unit. This is real and onto the road to recovery. Since my appointment as the ICT Minister in November of 2019, we have had consistent PIP budgetary support that has also enabled us to undertake major maintenance in all provincial radio stations throughout the country. We completed this major program in 2023, and in 2024, we dedicated that year to undertake similar renovations of NBC headquarters, and this is ongoing as I speak. During this period of time also, we built the 2 new radio stations in Hela and Jiwaka. And so I want to thank this government and thank this government again for the allocation of funding for next year. I still believe that more funding should be given to NBC as we look at bringing back the shortwave transmitters. The shortwave transmitters, I was informed, were obsolete and are not on the market throughout the world. However, I have found out that there are shortwave transmitters being manufactured in China. And we would like to bring these shortwave transmitters, back to PNG so that we can install these shortwave transmitters in all our radio stations in the country. Because the 50th anniversary of this country is coming up, and we want all the people of Papua New Guinea to listen and hear what is going on in their country celebrating 50 years. So we will look into that as we focus ourselves to the budget of next year, which is actually 45,014,200 kina, which has been allocated. This is with the component of the loan of the A2D program or the Exim China loan, bank loan. We did not receive any funding for the A2D migration for next year. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Housing.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to seek the leave of the chair in the statement in response to the question asked by the Governor for GALP on the 27th of November.
Is leave granted? Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I would like to respond to the question by Honourable Governor for GALP, Honourable Chris Waiweta, on the 27th of November this month. And I made a remark here in the Parliament that I'm going to respond to it. Now, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to respond to the Governor for GALP, Honourable Chris Waiweta, regarding the National Housing Corporation public notice that was published on the 4th of November 2024 and its effects on tenants residing in National Housing Corporation properties, particularly around Hola, Waigani, and Gereu, where the first public servants settled, and the settlement areas of Sabama, Kaugere, and Kirakira. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, let me clarify to the good governor and this House that the government, through National Housing Corporation, has compensated most of our first senior public servants through various housing schemes. There are 9 of them, like the giveaway scheme and the government sell-off scheme, wherein they were given subsidized prices lower than the market price to purchase their homes in areas like Hola, Waigani, Geru, Boroko, and even Pagahil and downtown area. These previous public servants were given prices ranging from just around 11,000 to 35,000 and repayment terms up. Mr. Speaker, in the 1960s to 1980s, the low-ranking public servants and the other citizens that worked in the colonial administrations were given vacant land under the National Housing Corporation self-help settlement scheme at Sabama, Kaugere, Hosken, Morata, Arima, and similar National Housing Corporation settlements around the country. These people were only required to pay 50 kina annual rent for the land, and they were required to construct a permanent houses as per the state lease condition within 2 years. But unfortunately, most have not done that so. Mr. Speaker, We are in 2024, and there is a huge demand and public outcry for public housing and affordable housing. As the minister responsible to provide affordable homes to all citizens of this country, I am of the view that it is unfair to currently working public servants for so-called senior and retired public servants who were given National Housing Corporation houses on a golden plate at very low prices to continue residing in these houses without settling their areas for decades. National Housing Corporation does not provide free housing. Its user pay, and government has done its part to subsidize the cost in accordance to the National Housing Corporation Act 1990. Mr. Speaker, the country has to move forward, and for National Housing Corporation to contribute and supply more affordable homes to citizens, current National Housing Corporation tenants must pay these low rentals that are set by the National Housing Corporation as per the tenancy agreement and the landlord-tenant relationship under the National Housing Corporation Act 1990. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The honourable members, pursuant to statutes, I present the report by the judge on the work of the National Judiciary System 2023. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament take note of the paper and the debate be adjourned and make an order of the day for a subsequent seating.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, pursuant to statute, I present the financial report of the Ombudsman Commission of Papua New Guinea relating to the investigation into the police shootings at demonstrating UPNG students on 8 June 2016. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move that Parliament take note of the paper and the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent seating.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs. Minister, you can speak from your chair.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the statute, I present the treaty document relating to the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to make a statement in connection with the treaty document.
Is the leave granted?
Deputy Speaker, allow me to start by thanking you and giving me the opportunity to present to the House the ratification of Papua New Guinea's intention to be a member of the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries. As this is my first ministerial statement to facilitate the PNG accession to the Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries as part of the growing economy of the country through investing in palm oil, I'd like to thank the Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape, for the creation and creating the Oil Palm Ministry and appointing the Minister responsible for oil palm in PNG's history. I also extend my gratitude to this House and fellow members of Parliament for the support in developing the oil palm industry in Papua New Guinea. Mr. Deputy Speaker, allow me also to thank the opportunity to present this statement on the progress made by the Minister for Palm Oil Industry to date on PNG's intention to be a member of the Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries. It is my intention to update you and this House on the current status of the oil palm industry in Papua New Guinea, inform you on the incentives and priorities pursuant to my ministry to date and for the next 5 years, and seeking your consensus for Papua New Guinea to be a member of the Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries. Deputy Speaker, the substance of my statement is basically to inform, number one, challenges affecting the oil palm industry, targets for oil palm industry set out in the medium-term development plan, and 3, progress under Section 117 of the Constitution, treaties, etc., that we are required to comply before Papua New Guinea ascends to the Charter of the establishment of, to become a member of the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries. Deputy Speaker, as you are aware, oil palm is being a leading agricultural commodity in PNG in recent years. It accounts for 50% of PNG's agriculture gross domestic product and contributes to the national economy as the largest export revenue earner for Papua New Guinea from the agricultural sector. The oil palm industry generates approximately 24 billion kina in export revenue in the last 32 years, between 1990 and 1922, and provides employment for over 200,000 people in the informal and formal sectors. Today, the oil palm industry in PNG has experienced an unprecedented interest and support to develop and grow the industry. Deputy Speaker, oil palm was first introduced into Papua New Guinea in the 1890s by the Germans. However, the first commercial cultivation of oil palm began in Hoskins in West New Britain province in 1967. Since then, oil palm development expanded to Biala in West New Britain, Popondeka in the Northern Province, Milne Bay and Kavieng in New Ireland Province. These projects are declared oil palm projects under the Oil Palm Industry Corporation Act 1992. After the 5 oil palm projects were established between 1967 and 1991, other new oil palm projects were developed under a Special Agricultural Business Lease, SABL, and Forest Clearance Authorities, FCA, between 2010 and 2015. These projects are in East Sepik, West Sepik and East New Britain provinces. There are also new oil palm projects being developed in Morobe, Madang and Central Province. Deputy Speaker, despite the success stories and positive contribution of the oil palm industry to the national economy, there are many challenges faced by our oil palm industry that need to be addressed. Firstly, the oil palm industry in Papua New Guinea has not been regulated for the past 56 years since 1967. First commercial cultivation of oil palm in PNG. Unlike other commodity boards, the oil palm industry does not have the power to regulate the oil palm industry. OPEC was established in 1992 by the Oil Palm Industry Corporation Act in 1992, primarily to provide extension services to smallholder farmers. Secondly, due to the lack of regulatory framework, oil palm projects were issued licenses by the Department of Lands and Physical Planning for SABL projects and PNG Forest Authority and the Department of Agriculture for FCA projects. Thirdly, the ability of land for oil palm development is a big challenge. and for oil palm industry expansion of oil palm development is restricted to land that is already being planted with oil palm. It is also restricted by domestic and international laws and agreements that Papua New Guinea is party to address environment and climate change issues, amongst others. As a result, there is no growth in oil palm industry. Currently, the oil palm industry has 210,000 hectares of planted oil palm, which has been the case for the last 50 years. That has been generating export revenue for Papua New Guinea compared to other oil palm countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. Malaysia has 5.6 million hectares of planted oil palm, while Indonesia has 23 million hectares of planted oil palm. Deputy Speaker, the medium-term development plan 23 to 27 sets specific targets for the oil palm industry. One of the targets is the legislative reforms in oil palm industry. This is currently being undertaken by the Ministry of Oil Palm. The policy and legislation reforms aim to address the challenges affecting the oil palm industry to improve the way we do business for the oil palm sector. The reforms will help achieving the MTDP4 targets and other national development goals for the oil palm industry. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, PNG is one of the major oil palm producing countries in the world alongside Indonesia and Malaysia. We can learn a great deal from their experiences and success stories of these two countries and how they dealt with addressing challenges in the oil palm sectors in their respective countries. Malaysia and Indonesia founded the Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries in 2015 after they established their own country-specific palm oil sustainability standards. The objective of the CPOPC is to promote, develop, strengthen cooperation in cultivation of the industry among member countries and to ensure long-term benefits of such endeavours to the economic development and well-being of the people of the member countries. PNG has been an observer of the CPOPC since 2018 and therefore intends to be a member in the near future. There is overwhelming support for the CPOPC and its members for PNG to be a member of the Council. Relevant government agencies such as the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Office of the State Solicitor, have provided guidance on the process to be followed before ascending to the Charter of establishing the Council of Palm Oil Producing Councils, hence this parliamentary statement. Deputy Speaker, PNG's membership to the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries will bring benefits such as technical assistance, research and development, expand the oil palm development. PNG also can learn and gain insights in how we can develop our own country-specific sustainability standard for the oil palm industry in PNG. Deputy Speaker, in order for PNG to become a member of the CPOPC, we have to comply with Section 117 of the Constitution. The Constitution requires that the treaty document to which PNG extends to excel in must be presented to the Parliament for at least 10 days sitting for this House to give consent. Therefore, as a Minister responsible for the ratification process in PNG, I now seek consent of this House of PNG to be a member of the Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries. Deputy Speaker, to conclude my statement, I would like to reiterate that these are interesting and exciting times, and at the same time challenging times for the oil palm industry in Papua New Guinea. I call on all stakeholders, including our colleague politicians, landowners, government agencies, investors and various arms of government to work together with my ministry and the Ministry of Oil Palm to improve the way we do business in the oil palm industry and to maintain and ensure a sustainable oil palm industry for Papua New Guinea. Deputy Speaker, there is a lot to be done for the oil palm industry, and I seek your support and the support of this House to allow the Ministry for Oil Palm to complete this enormous task ahead to be included in PNG's membership to the CPOPC. Deputy Speaker, I thank the Honourable House for allowing me to deliver this statement. Thank you so much.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Honourable Minister.
Deputy Speaker, I move that in accordance with Section 1175A of the Constitution of this Parliament, waive Section 1173 of the Constitution, which requires a treaty document to be presented to the Parliament for at least 10 sitting days before Papua New Guinea can be bound as a party in so far as the provision applies to the ratification of the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. The motion must be supported by an absolute majority of 60 members. Honourable members, would those in favour of the motion please stand? Honourable members, we have an absolute majority in support. Thank you. Honourable members, ministerial statement. Minister for Public Service.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This is a statement titled Statistical Report on the Public Service Human Resource Management Operations in the Provinces and Districts. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as it
Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to present my third statement to this Honourable House as the Minister for Public Service. My statement will be basically on the statistics of the manpower of the public service for 2023, but especially the data at the provincial and district level. Public service staffing statistics. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to start off with general statistics in the public service. Up to pay number 20 of 2023, our Alaska payroll system shows a total of 132,295 public servants on the payroll. This number excludes the public servants in statutory bodies who have their own payroll systems. This number also excludes the public servants and MPs paid under the Parliament, as Parliament staff also has its own payroll system. The government Alaska payroll consists of the following: disciplined forces makes up a total of 11,669, and the breakup is as follows under the disciplined services. Police makes up 6,219, Defense 3,987, Correctional Services 1,461, IRC and Customs 1,234. Of these, IRC is 671, Customs 563. Land mediators and village courts make up 13,589. Of these, land mediators, a total number of 1,178. Village courts, 12,411. Law and justice sector, we have 1,901. PHS and hospitals, 17,650. Teachers, 68,509. National departments, 11,146. And provincial administrations, 6,597. A total of 132,295. On the side of this, the notes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as it can be seen from the staffing numbers above, 86.6% or 114,552 of our public servants are officers in our communities delivering frontline services, whilst 13.4% or 17,743 are officers performing policy and administrative functions. Further instructions is given to apply the 70-20-10 policy to redistribute policy and administrative officers accordingly, where 70% of these officers would be located at the district subnational level, 20% at the provincial level, and 10% at the national level. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our issues on service delivery at the provincial and district level continues. And I want to make specific call here to all governors of the 21 provinces that the responsibility of public service in the provinces belongs to the provincial administrators. The district administrators report directly to provincial administrators as per the provincial structures. The district administrators are also the CEOs of district development authorities during DDA board meetings. I want to appeal to all provincial administrators and district administrators to work together for the betterment of service delivery in the province. The provincial administrators must take charge in leading and managing the province. You are appointed on merits, so live up to your status as public heads in the provinces. Mr. Deputy Speaker, staffing and establishment records of the provincial administrations include that the total staff personnel is 6,597 as of pay 20 of 2023. This staff personnel includes district staff in all 93 districts, noting the 7 new districts that are being progressively established. Data below indicates the staffing numbers and vacancies in each provincial administration. Number 1, Central Province. I will not go through the details of that, but I'll just give you the staff and strength that is highlighted in bold. The total number of strength for Central Province stands at 223, with a manpower cost of 9.1 million kina. Of those 223, the breakup by each district is as follows. Abao District with 23, Goilala District with 21, Kairuku District with 18, the new electorate, Kirikoari, has 19, and Rico District with 19 as well. You also have other services in Central Province. Teachers make up 2,650, health workers make up 197, police 119, village courts 541, and land mediators 46. Milne Bay Province, total staff strength is 173, with a manpower cost of 9.1 million. And the breakup for the district is as follows. Alatau District 35, Esala District 14, Kiruna Burinap 13, Samara Murua 29. Other service, public servants in Milne Bay Province, teachers with 2,905, health workers 623, police 60, village court officials 640, and land mediators 51. Gulf Province, the total staff strength for Gulf Province is 245, with a cost of 8.54 million, and the distribution for the 2 districts are Kerama with 54 and Kikori District with 46. Other service, public servants, teachers with 878, health workers 375, police 42, village courts 428, and land mediators 38. Western Province has a total number of strength of 225, with a cost of 7.81 million. And the breakup of Western Province for the 4 districts are as follows. Fly District, sorry, not Fly, 23, Middle Fly, only 1, South Fly, 20, and 4, the new electorate Delta Fly with 14. Other service public servants in Western Province, teachers 1,977, health workers 524, police 96, village court officials 336, and land mediators 53. Oro Province, the total number of strength of Oro Province is 209, with a cost of 6.14 million kina. The 3 districts, Ejibitari 56, Sohe District 46, and Popadata is a new district with figures to be updated, currently at 0. The other service public servants in Oro Province, teachers 1,000 191, health workers 353, police 59, court officials 339, and land mediators 35. Morobe Province has a total number of strength of 343 with a cost of 12.442 million kina. Distribution of the 10 districts: Finsafen district with 23, Huon Gulf with 15, Kabum with 15, Ley with 15, Makam with 13, Menyamia with 21, Nawai district 14, Tawashasi with 19, Burolo district 27, and Wawaria still being sorted out. Other service public servants in Morobe Province, teachers. Morobe Province has 7,128 teachers, 1,160 health workers, 384 police, 656 village court officials, and 89 land mediators. Medan Province. Medan Province has a total number of strength of 343 with a cost of 7.91 million kina. A breakup of the 343, Bogia district with 26 public servants, Medan district with 32 public servants, Middle Ramu with 33, Raikos with 33, Sumkar district with 24, Usuna Bundi with 20. Other service public servants, 4,434 teachers in Medan Province, 799 health workers in Medan Province, 124 police, 771 village court officials, and 71 land mediators. Pacific Province. Pacific Province has a total number of strength of 315 with a cost of 10.4 million kina. The distribution: Ambudi Rekia district has 25 public servants, Angoram district has 20 public servants, Maprik district has 24 public servants, Wiwek district 38 public servants, Wasaragawi has 20 public servants, and Yaguru South 17 public servants. Other service public servants in in Pacific Province: teachers 4,394, health workers 743, police 148, village court officials 835, and land mediators 90. West Pacific Province, total staff strength of West Pacific Province is 255 with a cost of 8.29 million kina. Distribution: Adepe Lumi with 26, Nuku district with 41, Telefomin district with 41, and Wanimo Green district with 31. Other service public servants in West Pacific, we have 2,000. West Pacific has 2,328 teachers, 492 health workers, 56 police, village court officials 357, and land mediators 56. Western Highlands Province has a total number of staff strength staff strength of 281 with a cost of 9.83 million kina. The breakup of that: Day district has 36 public servants, Mount Haken district has only 8 public servants, Gulbaya district has 33 public servants, Tambul Nebelia has 31 public servants. Western Highlands Province has 4,544 teachers, 782 health workers, 349 police, 634 village court officials, 36 land mediators. Hela Province. Staff on strength for Hela Province stands at 363 with 12.03 million kina. Distribution of the 263. Makarima District has 13 public servants. Korobak Kubiako has 24 public servants. Taripori has 24 public servants. And Kombo Hilia is a new district with 9 public servants. Apart from that, we have Hela Province has 1,738 teachers, 508 health workers, 351 village court officials, and 53 land mediators. Enga Province has a total staff strength of 310 with a cost of 9.43 million kina. Breakup of that by district. Kandep District has 16 public servants. Kombiam Ambum has 22 public servants. Laigap District has 23 public servants. Wapanamanda has 15 public servants. And Wabak District has 18 public servants. And the new district of Bogora Pailan U has 22 public servants. Anga Province has 3,523 teachers, health workers 1,074, police in Anga 209, village court officials 1,320, no land mediators. Southern Highlands Province. Southern Highlands Provincial Administration has a staff strength of 539 with a cost of 17.7 million kina. For the districts, out of the 539, Yalibu Pangia has 30 public servants, Imbongo District has 26 public servants, Kagwa Arave has 27, Mendi Munihu has 26, and Nipa Kutubu has 45. There are 4,606 public teachers serving in Southern Highlands Province, with 902 health workers, 283 police, 972 village court officials, and 74 land mediators. Jiwaka Province. Jiwaka Province has a total staff strength of 210 with a cost of 7.979 million kina. The 3 districts distribution of that: Anglip South Waki with 25, Jimmy with 22, and North Waki with 40. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the other public servants in Jiwaka, teachers with 2,710, health workers 384, village court officials 401, land mediators 24. Simbu Province. Simbu Province has a total staff strength of 260 with a cost of 6.76 million kina. The distribution of the 260, Chuabe District has 7, Gumini District has 8 public servants, Karamui Namane has 10 public servants, Kerawagi has 7 public servants, Kudiawa Gambol has 8, and Sinise Yagamol has 8. There are 3,698 teachers in Simbu Province. 3,689, with 689 health workers, police 185, village court officials 775, and land mediators 47 in Simbu Province. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we will now come to Eastern Highlands Province. Eastern Highlands Provincial Administration has a total staff strength of 247 with a cost of 9.61 million kina. The breakup of that, Daulo district has 14 public servants, Goroka district 19, Enganofi 11, Kainantu 21, Lufa 12, Obra Wananara 7, Okapa district 9, Ungai Bena 12. Teachers, we have 4,957 teachers serving in Eastern Highlands province, with 749 health workers, 201 police, village court officials 742, and land mediators 88. Mr. Deputy Speaker, East New Britain Province. East New Britain Province has a total staff strength of 458 with a cost of 15.75 million kina. The breakup, Gesell District has 74 public servants, Kokopo District has 51 public servants, Pomio District has 86, and Rabol District has 55. There are 3,554 teachers serving the people of East New Britain Province, with 723 health workers, 203 police, 417 village court officials, and 59 land mediators. West New Britain Provincial Administration has a total staff strength of 255 with a cost of 9.93 million kina. Breakup of that, Kendrian Cluster with 44, Thalassia District 59, and the new Nakanai District staff being arranged. There are 2,743 teachers serving the province of West New Britain, with 677 health workers, 103 police, 391 village court officials, and 41 land mediators. Manus Province, one province, one district. Manus Province has a total staff strength of 188 with a cost of 4.74 million kina. Manus District, only one district, has a total number in Manus District 75. There are 900, Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are 984 teachers serving in Manus Province, health workers 289, police 36, village court officials 422, and land mediators 44. New Island Provincial Administration has a total staff strength of 323 with a cost of 9.93 million kina. Distribution, Kebeng District has 59 public servants and Namatana District has 89 public servants. There are 2,179 teachers serving in New Island Province, with 421 health workers, 78 police, 333 village court officials, and 35 land mediators. The autonomous region of Bougainville is a transferred function, Mr. Assistant Speaker. They have their own record of staff on strength, but the figures are as follows. The total number of approved establishment is 2,267 with 111.8 million. There's a total establishment for the autonomous region of Bougainville. So all the records are kept with themselves, Mr. Assistant Speaker. Mr. Assistant Speaker, I wish to highlight the following points for the data provided above. One, the total allocation under the 2023 personal emoluments budget for provincial administration stands at 349 million kina. East New Britain province ranks first with more than 70% of its administration staff placed at the district level, while all other provinces fall way below the requirement of 10% national, 20% provincial, and 70% district and LLGs. Simbu province ranks the last with more than 80% of its administration staff placed at the provincial headquarters of Pundiawa. There are 1,173 unattached officers across all the provincial administrations currently on the payroll without being on positions. Hela province has more unattached officers of 210 than the actual number of 153 occupied positions, followed by Western province with 118 and 107 respectively. Southern Highlands province has the highest number of retirees of 89, followed by Simbu with 68 and Hela with 62, while East Britain is the only province without any retirees. Mr. Acting Speaker, the outcome of the Special General Order 11. I would like to now share some statistics, especially those that concern the HR functions in the provinces. Based on the Special General Orders 1-11 on cost-saving measures issued by Secretary for DPM in 2019, the findings reveal that 9 agencies, mainly 8 provincial administrations and 1 PHA, had faltered in the exercise of its HR powers. These agencies are Central Provincial Administration, Hela Provincial Administration, New Island Provincial Administration, Oro Provincial Administration, Western Provincial Administration, Simbu Provincial Administration, Southern Highlands Provincial Administration, Chiwaka Provincial Administration, and Western Highlands Provincial Health Authority. The audits will be conducted for these agencies in the next few months. It's actually been carried out already to the first quarter of this year, and will determine the return of HR powers for these 10 agencies. Medang Provincial Administration has been included as the 10th agency, noting HR audit has been conducted in late 2021, and my department is yet to receive the progress of the implementation of the audit findings from the administration. The HR powers, Mr. Assistant Speaker, of the remaining government agencies, inclusive of national departments, provincial administrations, and PHS, will be returned before the end of 2023, and accountability will be strengthened so public service leaders are held responsible for their actions. This decision remains a challenge, as one of the recommendations in the Deloitte audit report presented in the last Parliament session indicates that HR powers should not be decentralized until the HR business process are tightened up. Whilst considering this decision to give back HR powers, monitoring and compliance and HR audit functions will be the main focus of Department of Personnel Management in 2024 and onwards. Mr. Assistant Speaker, the Special General Order findings have also assessed the different categories of the status of agencies as follows. Green, agencies in green are okay. In column A, that means if your agency, or it means for ministers and for governors to take note that if your province or your agency or department does not show on the list of the red, it doesn't show on A or B, on column B and C, it means that you are okay in terms of HR. And so we have the agencies in orange, Manus, Gulf, Jiwaka, New Island, East New Britain, PHA, Buka Hospital, Manus, PHA, Central Province, PHA, Department of Agriculture, Department of Petroleum, National Narcotics Bureau, and in red, under red, Central Provincial Administration, Hela, PHA, New Island, PHA, Oro, PHA, PA, not PHA, but PA, Mr. Assistant Speaker, Western Provincial Administration, Simbu Provincial Administration, Southern Highlands Provincial Administration, Jiwaka, Western Highlands, PHA, Meding, PA, Provincial Administration. The key issues, Mr. Assistant Speaker, on the column that I would like to stress here is that for the 10 agencies in red, major issues were non-compliance of HR matters due to non-functioning HR branches or non-existence of HRM. A lot of practices of fraud in the provincial administrations. At the time of the General Order 11 assessment, there were a lot of acting provincial administrators and no leadership was provided. Abuse of implementation of organizational structures and lack of understanding of HR matters generally. No proper office facilities and infrastructure to support public service. Mr. Assistant Speaker, I am highlighting these HR issues as these are the contributing factors to why our provincial administrations are not being effective and therefore are called for all provincial administrators and district administrators to attend the compulsory certificate in HR business courses and the advanced diploma in executive leadership and management at the Sumare Institute of Leadership and Governance. This is very important and supports the call of our Prime Minister in the recent Governors Conference held on the 4th of May 2023 at the Hilton Hotel. Mr. Assistant Speaker, the update on the 7 new district administration establishments. Assistant Speaker, in terms of the 7 new district administrations, Parliament has approved the following new Hirikoari, Delta Fly, Poponeta, Nakanai, Wawaria, Bogara, Paila, and Como Hulia for implementation between 2023 and consultations have been ongoing with the affected provinces with the aim of agreeing on A, district structure, B, staffing profile for the district, C, personal amendments budget, D, advise affected provincial administrations to assist the elected MP with staff in the interim and with the inclusion of the Poponeta district, of the new Poponeta district. Structure approved in March 2023 and now before Oro PA provincial administration for implementation. Mr. Assistant Speaker, Nakanai district, lack of proper consultation between the West New Britain provincial administration and new member for Nakanai and DPM, so DPM NGI team progressing this with the administration and the open member. Waria district, consultation between DPM Morobe Provincial Administration and District took place in February 2023. DPM awaiting Morobe Provincial Administration to submit refined structure. Bogora Paila, no formal consultation in 2022 and beginning 2023 despite the letter of invitation. Hence, election-related events were a major factor. DPM will progress this with a new provincial administrator and also noting the by-election in Bogora. It was last year. So. Komohulia, consultation in progress with the Hela Provincial Administration to submit a refined structure to cater for the new district. Mr. Acting Speaker, having said the above, I would like to raise these questions for each of the open members of this Parliament, including us ministers, in relation to administration staffing required to facilitate efficient, effective and continuous provision of essential services for our people in each of our districts. District Development Authority must have physical office or district office and sub-district offices for the offices to operate from, and that the offices must be provided housing and other essential services to operate well in the districts. This will then largely support the implementation of the 70-20-10 manpower redistribution. Mr. Assistant Speaker, DDA should be concerned about the number of administration officers in the respective districts whose job is to ensure that the teachers are at the duty stations teaching. Health workers are at the duty stations delivering health services. Village court officials are at the duty stations maintaining peace and order in our communities, and police personnel is present to enforce law and order. Mr. Assistant Speaker, let me conclude by saying that our focus is now on the empowerment of provinces and districts and less attention at the national level. I would like to call on those responsible in plasma to be effective and to coordinate the linkages between the national agencies and provincial administrations. More so, all members of Parliament have a role to play in ensuring that our public service machinery is functional. As the Prime Minister always says, we must build the districts as those other places that we will retire to one day. Mr. Assistant Speaker, I'd like to also stress that physically, before I stop, Mr. Assistant Speaker, physically you can obviously look at the provincial administrations. When you visit the provincial administrations, you will see a closely looking, shining looking finance office. When you compare it to HR office, it's a dusty little corner stuck in the provincial administration. And therefore my appeal to our governors is to sit your provincial administrator in your office and make sure the provincial administrator is responsible to pay attention to HR, not just finance, because finance will write a check for the provincial administrator for his TA or for all officers or yourself to go around taking trips. Sit down in the office and get a PA to pay attention to HR matters. With that, Mr. Assistant Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my statement. And thank you, Parliament.
Governor Southern Highlands.
Assistant Speaker, I want Parliament to take note of this very important public service minister's statement, and I want to make some statements in support of that.
Make your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. I want to commend the Minister for Public Service for giving us a consolidated report on where the public service in general stands in so far as the National Public Service as well as the provincial administration in terms of payroll, structure, and the whole of service delivery functionality of government. Just before I go on the making of comments, Mr. Acting Speaker, I want to draw the attention of the Minister to page 16 of his statement. I understand these are the 7 new electorates that were approved by Parliament, but I also have the new Mendi Central in my province as a new proposed electorate and district to come on stream. So we also need government intervention in terms of preparedness in the administrative structure, in the overall structure in setting up district administrations and functions of government. So take note of that, Mr. Minister, through you, Acting Speaker. My comment basically relates to several issues. One, Minister, I want to, through Parliament, find out who approves organizational structure in the entire public service. I believe it's your department, the Department of Personnel Management. Okay, approving organizational structure is fundamental and comes with it the ceiling of manpower requirement that will determine your payroll for the entire public service every month, every fortnight, and the annual payroll. So I want to emphasize this important matter as the Governor for Oro, through the Public Service Parliamentary Committee, also has raised some important issues in this thing. Who said how we approving organizational structure? Means when DPM working. Now who said how we give him ceiling approval? Ceiling approval. So was DPM you approving 1 plus ceiling? No one plus government agency got right long go recruit under plus ceiling. Because ceiling and you approving finish, yeah? That way you can control. Right now, this payroll system country, yeah, meeting or same. So was me wrong, you can correct me. Payroll na organizational structure, DPM you approve him. Now pay him, you put him under block finance. That's where the mismatch is, my view. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. I'm also not 150 million pay fortnight payroll, equal to 300 and some million payroll. Long any come up through this plan. The discrepancy will be established through this mismatch. So provincial administration plus St. Helens, you give him, for example, 80 long provincial administration ceiling. Administrator no got right long go recruit above that. I'm ceiling you give him, yeah. So control mechanism and stop this plan. So was organizational structure, when them ceiling you DPM hold him now, finance pay him payroll. I think you need to deal with this mismatch. And one point me like raise him through the important matter you raise him long end. This some issue long some retire sanguma underneath lo payroll you talk long one provincial administration. I mean work lo provincial administration and provincial government law retrench him all. And work lo national government. Because provincial government we don't know rush him all nothing lo payroll. They have to be retrenched properly. Identified. So don't go to me misfire na. Suti Tokto go come and then clarity no stop. I think national government must have a retrenchment policy to deal with them, shake hands and retire them properly. So as you know working more same. Lo stop lo payroll all by stop yet. I think this is a very important matter we must deal one time. Okay, the second matter me like Dr. Longen. As the country progresses, there's some functions of government that you may not need to put him underneath long government administration per se. For example, petroleum. Petroleum, you also have a Department of Petroleum and Energy. With petroleum, they deal with very capable people in the industry like Santos, Exxon, sample of this plus. So our department needs to be comparable in the international, for example, in terms of human resource and in terms of the functionality. So I think in the whole of service delivery, Minister, through your statement, if you can identify some key functions of government, they don't need to become government departments. They need to go migrate into being an authority so that they become comparable in the international stage. So representing human, because sometimes all officers, it's, they seem that they are inferior, not capable. So we need to look at some government functions like lands. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister can correct me. Some functions are very technical, so we need to make them authority, in my view, instead of maintaining normal government department per se. Okay, number 3, something. Also, me plus I talk long. Some legally function also. Village court functions, land mediation functions, CIS functions, agriculture extension functions. Some all this legally functions from government. No need lo waigani you blow walk him. And me blow talk long. Identify him these low-hanging fruits. Transfer him to the province, now you go to district. How do you take him this plus something? Now you blow control him government law policy and oversight functions, inspections, audit, accountability. This country is going around in, running circles for 49 years in this service delivery. I think one of the biggest enemy for us not progressing is this disjointed, they call it disjointed governance syndrome. Law toggles him, policy toggles him, organizational samlinia toggles him. We've been running around getting consultants, everybody here and there. Identify these low-hanging functions. Village court, land mediators, agriculture extension functions, some law, this law, inspections, for example, in education, all none of functions here. You blow transferring me go along. Province, nonetheless, districts, now, we can walk in this floor walk one time instead of running around in Waigani all the time. So this plan, some issues where me looking Minister raising very important ministerial statement. I think we need to debate this thing because so far, Minister, I commend you. And being a former administrator, the issues are big out there. But you put him inside one consolidated statement in terms of sealing the sample of this plus something. So kind of say teachers' payroll. Minister, where I am education department say pay more, I'm say come through government payroll. So there's some mismatch there because the province function by education department one agency belong government. Like also police, for example. PPC me plus one time Konitobu also salem 4,000 to 6,000 money lo 1 moon lo province. Now people are talking about walking walk, all the no money go current display allowance this and that. So also sindan staff. Put also you allocating plenty money long police operations lo here. But monthly release to the districts to service 6 or 5 electorates with almost 600,000 people on a daily basis, one of PNG's most, notorious areas for law and order. What are you going to do with 4,000 a month, 6,000 a month? How are you going to effectively operationalize your law and order and law display kind? So some all these law issues, maybe get long, and I want to commend the minister and raise some of these things. So me, look all same. We make an PCM this law report long parliamentary committee where the Honorable Governor for Oro he make him long and we can do some real intervention to save some of the wastages in the public service payroll where the parliamentary committee has identified. So I think we are making some progress there. I commend you, Minister, and commend the government for these things. So thank you, Deputy or Assistant Speaker, to give me this law opportunity long me raising some law
issues long. Minister is giving a statement long, and thank you.
Member for Above.
Speaker, it's a very short comment, and I commend the Minister for Public Service for this well-overdue report, particularly focusing on HR issues at the national, provincial, and district levels, but more importantly at the provincial and district statistics that the Minister has distributed today. Minister, there is no other person to head that ministry, no other better person than you, and so I commend you. Being a provincial administrator before, you know all the issues of HR issues in the country, so I commend you for a very good presentation. But I wish to highlight some issues that I have observed under this government. And one of them is the policy on the percentage of structure of public service, which the minister has announced, 70-20-10 ratio. Majority 70%, and only one province in the country has complied with 70%. I think East New Britain of its public servants are in the district level. It's like the policy on the education sector, which we debated last week, and that is the 166 policy. These policies are publicly announced without proper assessment. Resource implications, for example. On the 166 policy, I actually asked through my DDA, my education manager, to provide to the DDA the actual cost of About District to implement the 166 policy. And I tell you what, the costs are mind-boggling. How many teachers to come, how many houses to build, how much operational cost, etc., etc. Similar to the approach that the government took when the new districts were pronounced and not far from the national elections. And now, according to the minister's report, those 7 new districts are still struggling. And so I think the big lesson from the minister's statement is, let us stop prescribing public policies without proper assessment and repercussions on the resource implications in particular. And so, 50 years next year, and we are still doing knee-jerk policy announcements. And this is one of them. So I just want to inform on behalf of my governor for Central Province that under her government, there is a policy to build for each district 10 houses per year. Minister, I think you should support that policy. Because if we are to move the 70% of the staff still sitting in, for example, Konedobu for our sake, then we need to build houses. And I strongly recommend, through you, Assistant Speaker, to the Minister, like an average teacher's house is about 250,000, a 3-bedroom house, or maybe 200,000 or 150,000 in some provinces which are closer to good logistics. And for 10 houses a year per district, if we create a budget item under the DSIP, rather than just education, health, etc., but have a housing budget on the chartered account, and then allocate, for example, if 10 houses, that works out to be 2.5 million per year, each district, on this itemized housing item. So if you rearrange the chart of accounts in the districts, we have a specific item for housing. And I think, Assistant Speaker, the minister's dream can then be realized. Like what is now happening in East New Britain, the majority of the staff are now where the services should be at the district level. And so I strongly recommend, Assistant Speaker, that the minister should fight to include in our DSIP chart of accounts an item called district housing. And, you know, under 10% arrangements, 2.5 million dedicated for the housing, and minister and his secretary can do an audit on regularly. And when you do an HR audit, you know that people are already moving. And within 5 years, one term of the year, I think you've got 50 houses already in one district. And those of us who are waiting for provincial staff to come, they actually got houses. And so that's one area that I strongly recommend that the minister to take on board. And I think it's been realistic. We can preach about the 70-20-10 ratios, but without this, we cannot do it. I have built 10 houses this year in Kupiano, and all my district staff are in Kupiano. Nobody is in Mosby. And so if we can do that, I think our public service can be based on the ground and therefore efficiency in the delivery of. So I strongly recommend changing the chart of accounts of district DSIPs or even PSIPs, and we include a specific item called district housing. Same as the argument on, before we used to have administrative budget through administration services budget through province for district towns. That has also disappeared. And so the admin grants, part of that admin grants would be look after district towns. But that also disappeared. So, you know, we are fumbling as a country with regards to key policy drivers in order to materialize the policy that we propose. The issue of new district, Assistant Speaker, it's a priority. I would have thought, and I actually voted in favor of the new electorates. But in 2027 is not far away, and I think the other remaining 7 new districts will also be appearing in the 2027 elections again. So, you see, we're only 2 years away. So my question for you, Assistant Speaker, to the Minister is, how well are you prepared with organizational structures for these new ones that will appear in the ballot paper in 2027? What are organizational structures? Have they been approved? Have you started building headquarters for these new districts? What is your housing program? We've got a 28 billion budget, which we are debating this week. Have you factored in all these things in the current new ones and the new ones to come? So we are not chasing our tail all the time. So if the minister can put these issues on his radar in terms of proper planning and implementation, I think this is a big area, and I know that our chairman for Public Sector Parliamentary Committee, who I think will speak after me, I think this is a big issue. Housing is a big issue. And I, for one, have been advocating that and it's a structural issue, because in 1995, when we passed the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments, we created 3 levels of legislature: national, provincial, and local. But we also created 4 levels of public service: Waigani, provincial, districts, and local. And these 4 structures were not talking to each other. And so we have a structural problem. And so I've been calling for us to go back and review the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments. And my view has been, for example, and I've always debated on the floor, for Abau, I have 3 local level governments. But in Abau, if I was allowed by the minister, I can, like in the old days before the organic law came, we were pushing for sub-districts. So in Abau, rather than have 3 local level governments, I will have 5 sub-districts. And then the sub-district managers and their support staff will then be posted to the sub-districts. Rather than 3 LLGs headed by another politician called a president and then their ward members, but they are devoid of public servants who are the deliveries of programs at the front line. And so I think we have messed it up by the 1995 organic law on provincial governments and local level government. So my request to the 3 Assistant Speakers is for the Minister and the Minister for Intergovernment Relations to sit together and relook at it, and Chairman for Public Sector Parliamentary Committee. 3 of you will have to sit down and relook at this, because today's paper by the Minister on HR issues impact on the inefficiency of service delivery in our country. This is one area where we have not organized very, very well. And so the Prime Minister is listening, Deputy PM is there. Under your government now, you've got 2 years to go. And I think the Minister's statement has to be taken very, very seriously. We always talk about money and this, and Minister has complained about at the provincial level that the provincial treasurer's office is better than the HR manager's office. And that's true. Where money is, everything is poured there, but we forget these HR management issues. So important. The office that manages the human capital, which God gave us, the human capital, and we forget it, and therefore the inefficiencies that we always complain about. Thank you, Assistant Speaker. I thought, thank you for the privilege to present the issues.
Governor Federal.
Assistant Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a few comments in regards to this very important paper presented by the good Minister for Department of Personal Management. I commend the Minister for his tremendous efforts and the work of his staff. They have done remarkably well under his ministerial guidance and with the support of the government. I would like to make a few statements in agreement with Governor Powie and Member for Abao, who have put forward some very valid statements, commentaries that I think we should take note of, and my committee will definitely take on board those recommendations and suggestions. Before I proceed, I just want to commend again the Minister for DPM and the Ministerial Committee that was established to implement the payroll recommendations, finally. It took some time, but it happened. And I thank you all. It also demonstrates a new beginning whereby if we establish ministerial committees to address common national issues, major issues that affect our nation, we can get a lot done. Because you bring all the ministers together with their relevant heads of departments, and they can address the issue at hand in a timely manner. That's how we ought to be running a country, collectively. Because if you leave the responsibility to just a minister to take care of, it's going to take some time, and while he tries to go through the day-to-day efforts of managing his various departments that fall under his portfolio, the time constraints and resource constraints will make it such that he won't be able to effectively address those issues. So I feel that it's important that we establish ministerial committees. And this particular ministerial committee, I recommend through you, Assistant Speaker, that the Prime Minister and the NEC continue to maintain this to address another major issue that we're going to bring here. And that is the review of the numerous government agencies that exist. We have to do an analysis of those agencies. We have to determine what is the rate of return, a cost-benefits analysis of many of these government agencies. Many of them draw a budget line. They have boards, they have managing directors, but what are they actually doing? How are they contributing meaningfully to this country and its development? Because we can make savings there, I guarantee. Off the top of my head, I can think of already 10 organizations that ought to be abolished, automatically, straight away. Make radical decisions and say these organizations are not delivering in a meaningful way to this country. And divert those funds to areas where they're needed. As an example, the payroll audit will save this country 24 million kina a fortnight. That's quite significant. That was what was revealed from the audit carried out by Deloitte. And it took some time to get the relevant agencies and the relevant heads of departments together so that they could get this moving forward and moving into the right direction. And finally, that's where we are now. With the Ministerial Committee having met and an agreement having been reached that the payroll audit, payroll functions will now revert to DPM. 24 million kina a fortnight, or 48 million kina a month, or 600 million kina a year. It's a lot of money. So I commend the Minister for Department of Personnel Management and his Ministerial Committee, and I urge them to maintain this Ministerial Committee because the next significant amount of work that we will be bringing forth here for the Ministerial Committee to attend to is the review of these numerous government agencies. So in this way, we're not only looking at how we can collect more revenue for the country, but we must also look at cost-saving measures for the country. And these monies that we save can then be diverted to areas which they are needed. Minister, in regards to your statement, which is a statistical report on the public service human resource management operations in the provinces and districts, I just want to make a few comments from the experience of, say, a governor, joining my colleague, Governor for Southern Highlands. You're correct. Most provincial governments, with the exception of a few, I would say less than 10, have a very vibrant, functioning human resource division. Our province is one of those. We don't have a functioning human resource division, but we managed to get our restructure approved, and commencing early next year, we will be making a vigorous effort to implement that restructure, and then immediately after that we will be undertaking what we call a right-sizing exercise, whereby we will right-size the administration so that we have the relevant number of public servants. And we want to shift to a philosophy whereby the public service is playing an ombudsman type role, an oversight type role, an inspection audit type role. And the delivery of goods and services should be left to the private sector. They do a far better job. That's just how they're structured. It's for the private sector, it's do or die. So time constraints, resource constraints force them to manage in such a way that they deliver. In the instance of public service machineries, well, we feel that there's an endless stream of money, and we're not really mindful of this when we're delivering to the expectations of our people. So this right-sizing exercise will allow us to build a leaner public service, but well remunerated. So, for instance, in the case of our province, where we may have 300 public servants, we'd like to reduce it to perhaps 100 public servants, but still maintain the payroll for 300 public servants and spread that savings amongst that 100. Provide them housing, decent health care, insurance, and the capacity to be able to deliver. And you will see productivity. You will see happy public servants. Happy public servants will be productive public servants. And they will be able to deliver, whether they're in the districts or provinces. I did this in customs, and I saw it work very well. That's the whole reasoning for my idea of creating a public sector committee that can reform the public sector so that we can be a vibrant, effective, modern, relevant machine to implement government vision. Minister, I have a concern about the provincial administrator situations in the provinces. I note, Minister, that the assessment of provincial administrators is left to the political head. I think that should be a function carried out by DPM. I mean, if you look at the assessment performance, annual performance assessments, which they're supposed to fulfill, the responsibility is left to the political head, but we don't have the wherewithal to measure the performance of the administrator, to be honest. That should be a function carried out by DPM. And you also allow them to do a self-assessment. No one should be allowed to do a self-assessment. That's for the purposes of good governance, that responsibility should lie with a higher power. So I would like DPM to consider looking at that situation. If political heads are to be given the responsibility of assessing the administrators, then we must also be given the capacity to do that. I also want to point out that for many instances, provincial governments have been calling for block grants, or as some of us say, funds following functions. I think the good governor for Southern Islands has been saying this, and the good governor for East Sepik has mentioned this a number of times. Let's consider this. Give those block grants to the provinces, and then you will see that they will perform, and those provinces that aren't performing, carry out audits and help them improve so that they can get to that level. The other issue that I wanted to make mention of here was one that was pointed out by the Honourable Member for Abao, and it's one of my favourite subjects. I've said this many times and I'll keep saying it, and that is about the 95 reforms, which I feel they may have had good intentions by the architects, by those who had designed them, but I think they fell short in the implementation stage. So it was a situation whereby we fixed something that wasn't broken. See, after 1975, Australia gave us a template. They said, a roadmap. They said, here is your roadmap. This is how you progress. We're moving ahead, you follow. Our systems of government are very similar to theirs. And they gave us a toolbox, the public sector. They said, use this toolbox. And we were doing fine up until 95. If you went to any district and station in Papua New Guinea prior to 95, there were functioning districts and stations. Every district and station had water, they had power, they had a station manager, law and order was functioning. There were agricultural extension programs and education extension and health extension programs. And public servants were seen everywhere throughout the districts, interacting and working in communities. And people didn't go to urban areas, they didn't need to. They stayed in their stations and districts, they planted their cash crops. These were thriving mini economies. And then for whatever reason, the 95 reforms came about. There are a variety of reasons. Some are conspiracy theories. For instance, there were very powerful organizations that entered our country who wanted access to certain natural resources, and they couldn't get them immediately. So they had to drive some of these reforms through so they can get the permits and licensing in Waigani. Then they could access these resources. I won't name these organizations. You all know them. They were one of the forces that drove these reforms. The other was because of just political will and will. And they brought about these reforms that have caused so much destruction in our country. Now you go to a district and station and you compare that district and station to what it was before 95. And everyone is leaving the districts and stations because they don't have water, they don't have decent power, they don't have the law and order that they used to enjoy. And those thriving economies have deteriorated significantly. So they're looking for better opportunities for themselves, for their children. And they're coming into the urban centers and they're constraining the urban areas. They're getting involved in squatting settlements, land grabbing, ethnic conflicts. Why? And we're complaining about it and we're looking at how to find solutions. The solutions are staring us here in our face. Reform, those 95 reforms that didn't work, we need to review them. They're well overdue for our review. And then we can retain some of that which was good from those reforms. There were few, not many instances, but there were few elements of those reforms that were useful. We can retain those, and then we can do away with those that did not work. And after we do this, I feel that we will be back on track. We will have that roadmap that was given to us by Australia, and we can follow that, continue to follow that. And then we reform our public sector, make it a modern, effective, relevant organization. We look at remunerating our public servants well. giving them housing. If you've never lived in a settlement, if you've never lived in someone else's house, if you've never had the indignity of having no home, you will not understand how important this is. Having a home equates to happiness and satisfaction, where you can house your children, your family, you feel that you have the energy to come to work at 7:45, the prescribed public service hours, and leave at 16:06. You will be happy to contribute meaningfully to an organization that actually cares for you. Public servants today, many of them live in settlements. They live in villages. They actually have to pay a portion of their salary, sometimes a third of their salary, just to come to work. They have no running water. They can't iron their clothes. They have no power. Their children can't do their homework. They're not happy. How do you expect them to be productive and be happy and contribute to building a nation when you're not taking care of them? Let's look at the private sector in contrast. And they're exceptionally well paid. They have housing, they have all types of allowances and insurance and whatnot, health care. But what are they doing? Well, I mean, they're doing important things which relate to paying taxes, which is their contribution to our economy. But the public servant is building a nation. So therefore, they should be the most well-remunerated person in this country. And we should then be able to put them on annual contracts and hold them accountable. And they should be able to apply for their jobs every 2 years to justify why they should be re-employed. Then you will see we will build this country, because you will have a productive workforce, a loyal workforce that's dedicated to building this country. Let's look at prior to independence. If you went to those districts and stations that I mentioned, you'll find that everybody, including the general laborer who cut grass, had a house. I'll give an example in Kokoda, where my uncle used to be the tractor driver. He had a house. I had another uncle who was the driver for the station manager. He had a house, a 3-bedroom house. And there was a guy who cut grass where the tractor could not go. This guy would go there and cut grass. And he had a house. Today, directors and managers don't have houses. But we want them to come to work, be loyal, be productive, build a nation. It's not going to work. It'll only work if we give them decent wages, if we give them a decent home, if we make them happy, productive public servants. Thank you.
Member for Kokopo.
Thank you, Assistant Speaker. Long Luke Savel, long all people, long Kokopo, long also contribute long. This is a very important paper, which the Minister, son of Maki, all people, long Kokopo, talk. Thank you. Long this report that he put him through today, which is very importantly for our public servants. And I have to step back on behalf of my people of Kokopo district to say thank you to the public servants throughout Papua New Guinea. Public servants inside long police, inside long teachers, and the public servants inside long administration, which today, as Solsami Mihari Mipla long is New Britain, Mipla got highest public servants inside long East Britain. Now, we talk on behalf of Kokopo, which 51 positions of that is up inside long Kokopo district. Assistant Speaker, we talk thank you long all speakers that yes, now me like talk also. Today, also Minister pointed out long all public servants. The true long Maraperoso government have been introducing one paper that yes, the public servants inside of Papua New Guinea. Suppose you know that sila ako pilak certificate it won't enable you to become a public servant, but you have to go through to get your certificate so you become a public servant. That yes, inside Long District and inside Long Kokopo District, we are now partnering with the institutions so we can get the public servants, get their certificates so can enable them to become a true public servants inside Long country. Today, we like to thank you to Long Sambla all provinces. Yes, Eastern Britain is one of the highest public servants, which yes, 80% of the public servants are down at the district level and the LLG. The 20% which are up at the PHQ. Now today, those public servants are working, which yes, working through identifying the needs of the people inside the community. But inside the Kokopo District, which now we play look the province, that yes, the 94 positions that now under the new plus structure of city, and I have to thank the Maraperoso government again, that yes, a true minister, Mipla now it's going to be a separation, which through the transitioning period from the District Development Authority, it comes inside the City Authority. Now by next year, Mipla now by standalone administration apart from the administration. And rather than paying 15 million inside the public servants, inside the Papua New, inside the East New Britain, Kokopo District now, and by paying separate, earning it long 6.4 million long all public servants. Assistant Speaker, you may by talk long all public servants, but earning it long housing. Yes, this is very important, like what the governor have just raised here. We have to provide a conducive environment in order for our public servants can deliver our policy decisions. And some of us leaders are doing it. But thank you again, because there is funding available through this government under the leadership of our good Prime Minister. We come inside through long provincial and local level government, and I come inside long public servants, public service machinery. That yes, we are now paying our own public servants inside Kokopo as the fourth city, apart from Leh, Hagen, and of course NCDC. I just want to point out one thing that Puka Temu have raised regarding the 166 education. 2017 and 18, and of course under the previous government, the previous minister, late former Minister for Education, introduced another policy through education, and it was the unpacking of the education plan, and it was introduced in West New Britain and again in East New Britain. And 166 now, I would like to inform this House that in Kokopo, one of my LLG, Royal One local level government, the 166 is working. 166 education is working. We are now supporting the schools with desk materials. And talking about the teachers now, we are going into the wards, identifying the teachers so that they can stay in the ward and they can live in their own accommodation and teach through the 166. And that is the fundamental area that we are establishing the foundation of our youths, our young children through phonics. Assistant Speaker, education. 166, what good thing about 166 is separating the higher or the junior students, bringing down starting from elementary schools, elementary students up to primary, from elementary 1 to 3 to grade 6. and then to junior high school. So for us in Distributor, if some leaders are saying that it's not working, for me in Kokopo, it's working. 166 to education, and thank you, Minister for Education, to continue with the policies that the late Minister have established and laid. Like what I've said, my debate won't be long, but again, I would like to thank the public servants throughout the country, and especially my public servants in Kokopo District, that yes, the 50 plus positions, it will be increased to 94 positions, and that is going to be a standalone structure which is going to deliver and implement the policies under two functions. One, through the service delivery mechanism, and two, for a money-making body, how we can generate revenue in the city to provide funding within the Kokopo city and, of course, New Guinea Highlands and Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Assistant Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. Last time through me like talk. Thank you, Lord Public Service Minister, long bringing this last statement, although a little bit behind, but it anchors on statistics of 2023. And so me Hamas long joining debate, but also set in some context in some of our discussions here. But before I do that, let me say happy birthday to himself. He's one of our senior Papua New Guineans currently in this parliament. He's migrated into the privileged class of Papua New Guineans who are in their golden 60s. And so I just want to say congratulations to himself. Before joining into becoming a member of parliament, he was a very esteemed, pronounced departmental head. He long-serving administrator of the Sundown province, and he brings to the table quite a wide level of exposure and experience in this conversation in as far as public service is concerned. So congratulations on your milestone 60 years, your 6th decade of living on planet Earth. On behalf of my children and my spouse, Rachel, and the entire people of Taripori and the Pangu Party network throughout the country, I just want to congratulate you on reaching your 60th birthday. And may God continue to grant you wisdom and good health for continued service to our country. Mr. Assistant Speaker, his statistics shows to us some compelling things. Firstly, there are 132,295 public servants in our country, outside of the statutory bodies, our national parliamentary services, our judicial services, but in the public service proper, there are 132,295 public servants. That equates to 1.3% of Papua New Guinea if you use the current running track of almost 10 million as our population base. So of the 10 million people, the 132,295, including those who are retirees still on our public service, are just 1.3% of our country's public service, our country's population, I beg your pardon. And based on 2023 figures, this 1.3% of Papua New Guineans have been paid a quarter of the national budget. If you take 210 million kina as a salary in 2023 every fortnight we pay, including those who were disgruntled on January 10th this year. The total quantum of money government earned, 25%, was transferred to paying Waigani provincial headquarters and district headquarters and our public servants right throughout the length and breadth of our country. Teachers, health workers, policemen are essential public servants, and I have no issue paying them. In fact, the way we're structuring our 2025 budget, we're increasing payment to, in respect to salary and salary-related overheads, to more payments to teachers, more payments coming up for police and health workers. That's appropriate, essential services. But to the greater one, that is why we've said Waigani must not be bloated. We must drain the Waigani public service and transfer all of them to our provinces and majority to our districts, where if not at 80%, then easily 70% of our people are. So I'll focus again on our districts, and let me inform this House, and here clearly Member for Abao spoke. No policy pronouncements are made on the run. Member for Abao. We are a government. We knew exactly what we will do for this country when we took office in 2019. My foundational statement here on this floor of Parliament in 2019 anchors most of what we do. The reason why we transfer public servants to our district is where 70% of our people are. The reason why we've announced for 1666 is to ensure that no kids are dropped out in our country. And to match this, we have given money to the districts. We've given money to the provinces. And I ask if we are all reporting on the funds we've received, the total sum of funds we've received. Section 32 of our Public Service Management Act says that by the end of 31st March every year, every provincial administrators for all provincial governments will cry for more powers. By the end of every year, 31st of March, report must have come in to Waigani. Report must have come into Waigani. I will give us statistics very soon on how many administrators have reported as Section 32 powers holders. Likewise, all ministries. The Chief Secretary is now putting in place a report on how many department heads have reported to the use of funds, especially when department heads and provincial administrators add substantial funds as paid public servant officials. Part of their core duty, apart from everything else, is human resource management and public finance management. The law spells it clearly. Section 63 of the Public Finance Management Act says report must come in. Section 32 of the Public Service Management Act says report must come in. Money has been leaving Waigani in big amount, especially in the last 5 years. Has report commensurate the amount of resource transferred from Waigani to our provinces and to our districts. We don't need to report elsewhere. I am impressed when the member for Abao says we need police houses, teacher houses to complement 166. Needless to pinpoint, but just to remind, Mr. Vice Speaker, you and me came back from Lilo Primary School a few months back. You showed what the power of your district DSIP could do when you showed to us 5 teacher houses that you were building in Lilo Primary School from DSIP. So what more do you want in the context of what resource we have in fairness? Every district have been supported with DSIP. We're also paying every student in our country from primary school, high school, secondary, even universities and colleges. We've introduced lately the higher education loan programs, so parents or districts or provinces are not burdened, but young Papuans themselves could access those funds. Like 2 weeks ago when I was at PAU, a student just walked up and said, "Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I received higher education loan program to complete my theology studies." So we put funding to assist school fees. So the districts, each district receives 2 million kin every year. If we systematically invest, that's for education. Invest in teacher houses, that's 10 million kin in 5 years. If one teacher house is 200,000 kina, and by the way, the member for Golala, his teacher houses he built at Golala Mountains was on average at 50,000. Just basic enough for a teacher to live in some house to be teaching up there. Iron over roof, a door and a shower. But I'm just saying, on average, if the teacher house is 200,000 kina per house, then in 5 years, one district would have built 50 houses already. 50 houses already. And if you aggregate, people like me have been around for 15 years plus, so if I had invested in that space, then in 15 years we would have built over 150 houses already. And each district you do the multiplier. All of us together would have built the teacher houses or the classrooms to accommodate our shift to 166 structure so that no child is left behind. The problem with us is, of course, money is not in full abundance, but there are greater resources now transferred. The problem with us is no concentration of work, especially when we all are receiving funds and we spend elsewhere. And elsewhere in appropriate areas too, I see most of you trying your best to support university student school fee. But I think we have to do it better in the face of a 50th anniversary. Define clearly what does district do. Sepuka again, in his wisdom, raised this important pointer, which is correct. The functional clarity to match the 1995 organic law on provincial and local level government must be made so we know clearly what provinces do, what district must do, and what national government does. That's an important pointer. I want to impress on all, in conclusion, the laws are there. Public servants, the 132 of you, 132,295 of you were paid 5.4 billion kina in as far as consuming the size of a national budget is concerned. That's substantial. That's big. Yesterday when the government team sat and went over with planning, finance and treasury, I was embarrassed to see that our public service efficiency put forth by planning, we were rated at 18.75%. The total country public service productivity at 18.75%. And I have the report here. I was sitting and skimming through this report. 18.75% is total government public service effectiveness in as far as percentile is concerned, rated globally. That's embarrassing. If any public servants from the chief secretary down, politicians got but short 5 years. Public servants who are already consuming 25% of our total salary, ignoring the focus that we want to do in the shift and empower them. As it is now today, wherever you are, I know the issue on housing remains still outstanding. But government do not have the financial space to build house for every one of you as of yet. And if you feel housing is a big burden and you cannot be employed, then the call is within you. But please, from where you are, wherever you are listening in, number one call as we face our 50th anniversary next year, step up on our effectiveness wherever you are placed. Remember in the 70s and 80s, some of us grew up in rural PNG. When I was in Nomad River or Oxabmin, public servants back then had no DSIP or member to assist them, but they were working. I did my grade 1 and 2 in beautiful Oxabmin in the remotest part of West Civic Province. Public servants were working back then. Today, public servant, I ask you, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Even if the fund may seem small to you, but you are consuming over 25% of annual appropriation every year. It's 1.3% of Papua New Guineans consuming over 25% of annual appropriation every year. And so the call is on all public servants. The MTDB 4 requires now, at least by 2027, we want to reach your productivity to 45.25%, if not 50%. If we can prop up your effectiveness and efficiency, public servants listening in today, you're not a politician's briefcase carrier. You are the Standard Barriers of Public Finance Management Act and Standard Barriers of Public Service Management Act. If our productivity is reached to 45% within the next 3 years, we are progressing in the right place. We consume 25% of our annual budget. Such is the statistics that requires us to step up our performance. Our statistics in as far as HDI is concerned is 154 out of 193 countries. Much of this depends on our public service working. I want to also ask, as I take my seat in this, after this speech, that all of us, members of parliament as chairmen of our DDAs, and chairmen and the head of our provincial assemblies and provincial governments, take an interest in this public service. Last 3 years, 4 years, we started a retrenchment exercise. Power is in the hands of provincial administrator, not to recruit one talks or re-recruit again. Retrenched people must be paid out. All provincial administrators submit your list of those that needs to be paid out. There's a program in Treasury to pay out all retirees. We must pay them out. We've started to pay out defense retirees since 2020, police retirees in 2020. Those retirees are being paid out. All provincial administrations, we need to clean out all retirees. They must be paid out. Say farewell to them with dignity and send them into retirement. And as we start to clean out, it is up to the provincial administrators to recruit well. Recruit well so that I don't mind paying a quarter of our salary on public servants. They carry the load, but we must be paying qualified and quality public servants to assist well in delivering to our people's expectations. So I thought I offer these few commentaries. There's an apparent lack of reporting by 31st of March every year by our provincial administrators. And as we come towards next year, this will be offence deemed terminable. You could be terminated if you do not submit basic reports on how you're doing in your provinces and in your departments, and especially from a two-pronged approach, from public service administration approach and from public finance administration approach. Just under 2% of our country, consuming a quarter of this country's budget, deserves a big look into this sector. Let's tap and prompt them to deliver to our people's expectation in as far as optimum public service delivery is concerned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is not question be put. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those not in favor? Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Assistant Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Assistant Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent me moving several motions relating to the appointment of members as Assistant Speakers and members to certain parliamentary committees.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those not in favor say no. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Assistant Speaker, I move that Robert Naguri and Ms. Francisca Samoso be appointed Assistant Speakers.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Leader of Government Business.
Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts. Mr. Speaker, I move that Mr. Kit Iruhu be appointed Deputy Chairman, Mr. Solian Loifa, Mr. Benjamin Moole, Mr. John Kaupa, Mr. Amos Akem, and Mr. Dr. Alan Marat as members and of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those not in favor say no. Leader of Government Business.
Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Law and Order. Mr. Speaker, I move that Mr. Amos Akem be appointed Chairman, Mr. Michael Marum as Deputy Chairman, Mr. Erman Tobining Jr., Mr. Nash Narawak, Mr. Solian Loifa as member of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Law and Order Committees.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those not in favor say no. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament do now adjourn to 10 a.m. tomorrow.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Honorable members, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those not in favor say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I now adjourn Parliament to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.